Actually, we should give him a big applause because he's standing. For he's just.
Thank you.
Most welcome. It's Stephen Brown. He's well, actually, yesterday he was asked to do this keynote, and he kindly accepted the invitation. And we very much look forward. Actually, you are diving into one of the topics that has been mentioned already, also in the panel: how to balance scalability, reliability, and sustainability. Well, it's a very easy topic, so you have at least 8 minutes to help us out here. So I wish you good luck, and I think enjoy, and I hope you will have enough time to explain most of the important things you want to say.
We'll get you back on schedule, so we'll do our
very
best.
Very good.
Hi, everybody. I am Stephen Brown, very excited to be here in Amsterdam. Unfortunately, Matthew Baines was originally here to do the presentation, so I know we're all quite disappointed. I thought about doing this presentation in an English accent to fill in for Matthew properly, but I'm not quite there yet, despite living in the UK for a year now. So. But let's dive right in, because we are a little tight on time. So here we're going to be looking more at the technology aspects here of the European data center market. What are our priorities in 2023, and what's the backdrop? The backdrop is another year of uncertainty. If we look ahead of it, we have a geopolitical conflict that continues into its second year. We have unclear outlook on supply chain challenges, despite signs of easing. And then, of course, we have sort of a murky future around inflation and raw material costs. And as already been alluded many times today, is the backdrop of real climate crises becoming real. Most notably droughts impacting not only the direct water supply, but also hydroelectric power, nuclear power generation in times. And that can be a major concern, so some uncertainty. However, there's unprecedented demand. I think Kevin will be here next to discuss some of the trends in the European market. We see significant secular trends of digitization driving data center demand into the future. So to sum it up, with great opportunity comes many, many challenges. And I like to bucket these challenges into 3 different categories. It's really speed, sustainability, and reliability. So speed, is essential right now. Time to market, given the constraints in the market, given the absorption rates, looking at our 3-year forecast of pre-lets across Europe in particular, the faster data center capacity can be deployed, the more compelling, of course, that is against constrained supply and many challenges. Sustainability, this is no longer a nice to have. In fact, it's very quickly becoming a must have. Of course, we're all familiar with the Climate Neutral Data Center Pact, and by 2030, data centers are largely going to be targeting carbon neutral footprint. And then finally, we get down to the 3rd bucket of challenges, which is reliability. Now, some of us may be surprised to see reliability highlighted here, not because it isn't a challenge, but because it's been a challenge for so long. And we wouldn't be very good at our jobs, we wouldn't be in our room if data centers hadn't largely figured out reliability. The thing that's changed is the backdrop. Whether it's grid reliability, many of the different constraints, talent into the industry, suddenly reliability, how do we ensure mission critical systems stay available is back to the forefront for the most part. And so the important thing to understand about these 3 priorities is that they are, in fact, a moving target, and they are interrelated. So back in university, I used to joke that you had friends, you had good grades, and you had sleep, and you could only pick 2. This is somewhat similar, where you have speed, reliability, and sustainability, and you're likely not going to be able to manage all 3 comprehensively at one time. If you want the most reliable data center with the smallest footprint, you're likely not going to be able to do that super quickly. Similarly, if you want speed and reliability, the traditional formula, you're going to probably be making compromise on the sustainability side. So the key is to address all 3 of these in concert and understand the role that they play together with one another. So let's start with speed. If you look at that, digitization is really the story here about how we can manage that particular group of challenges. So the construction industry since 1950, its productivity hasn't meaningfully increased at all, framed as output per man hours. If you look at agriculture, for example, that's increased 100-fold over the same time period. So construction has continually lagged. Data center as a major construction vertical, of course, is part of that story. But for the first time, we're seeing this technology where you can go from early concept into detailed design through the build phase and then, of course, into operations with the same common data environment. That's the concept of digital twin. And this is where speed can most be impacted in terms of getting rid of the rework up to 30% in a typical project. So very compelling. Reliability, again, now instead of talking about point product systems, tier 3, tier 4, we've gotten very good at that piece of it. Suddenly we're thinking about systems reliability. We're talking about grid interaction, microgrid, different ways to utilize or remove diesel gensets, and battery energy storage systems. All of this technology is suddenly widening the lens, if you will, of a data center, and this is going to be the key part of this that will impact our reliability. And then finally, we get to sustainability. And sustainability is certainly going to impact every part of the value chain that we work in and really change the way that we approach it. So if I double-click quickly into this topic, I know we are short on time, but at Schneider Electric, we really think about 5 key actions that will set our industry up and set your data centers up for success in pursuit of sustainability. First is setting a bold and actionable strategy, being transparent about it, being committed from a strategic level about transforming your organization the way that you work. Second is going to be around implementing efficient data center designs. We're pretty good at this if you look at PUE over the last couple of years, but now we need to broaden the lens again and think about water, think about other efficiency elements in a data center space that we can impact. Then we're going to be driving sustainability into operations, understanding the carbon footprint of running that data center day in, day out, outside of the direct energy procurement. Buying renewable energy, of course, that's become more flexible and interesting over the years with PPAs, virtual PPAs. And then finally, the biggest challenge that we'll all be working on together is decarbonizing the supply chain. For a lot of data center operators out here, I'm sure you've pursued PPAs, you've developed, maybe even co-developed renewables. And so that would mean that sometimes up to 80% of your carbon footprint over your entire life of your data center, the entire life will be embodied. That's scope 3 challenge. Traceability, understanding products, challenging ourselves throughout the industry to understand that scope 3 piece, that's going to be certainly the next forefront of sustainability. So this has been a daunting presentation, a lot of challenges that we've outlined certainly, but the good news is that the technology is emerging and moving as quickly as we possibly can to pursue these challenges. And at Schneider Electric, we wrap the intersection of electric and digital into electricity 4.0. That's what we term this. Electricity 1.0 was the early decades of electricity creation. 2.0 was the next century where electricity became an important part of our every single day life. And then 3.0 is the emergence of distributed energy resources and all of the challenges that come with that in terms of potential intermittency and being decoupled from the end use cases of those. 4.0 is where we get all electric, all digital, and we change the fabric of how we can consume and distribute electricity. This is going to be the way that we're going to be with the cleanest, to pursue the cleanest, most sustainable data centers. And it starts with smart, efficient electrical infrastructure across the building infrastructure, mechanical, the IT, and the electrical infrastructure. And then that moves into digitizing. I referenced this earlier, DBOM, design, build, operate, and maintain, one common data environment. You see a few logos there that Schneider Electric we've invested in the technology front to deploy this kind of technology that will help you across the entire construction life cycle and finally move the productivity gains that we need, and of course into operations and maintenance. And throughout it all, being sustainable, pursuing sustainable data centers is going to be absolutely key. So I think electricity 4.0 will be the key, as Paul mentioned in his keynote, for us to avoid becoming an old, expensive industry together, as referenced there. So thank you so much. Really happy to be here in Amsterdam and hope that we get to catch up outside at some point. Thank you.